Hi, everyone. Thanks for stopping by the Time We Discuss studio. Today, I have Erica Wright here, and it's time we discuss how to start a nonprofit organization. Erica, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're the founder of Stevens Wings.
Yes.
Are you also like the CEO, the COO? What does that look like for you?
So, Stevens Wings, I really do everything.
Okay.
Uh, right now, still looking for volunteers, looking for support, been reaching out to my network. I do have some people kind of helping here and there, but I am the founder, CEO, executive director, everything all in under one hat.
Wow. Wow. So you are a very, very busy person then.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So tell me about how did you get started with Stevens Wings? How did this all come to be? I know you have information on your website, stephenwings.org, I believe is the
Yes.
website.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So I know you have information there. I know you also have a couple of YouTube videos that are linked out from there as well. So I did view those. But just a quick synopsis. How did Stevens Wings come to be?
So, Stevens Wings came to be just through my experience through travel. I was able to experience travel at a young age, and it basically opened me up to a broader perspective on the world and cultures, more tolerance of cultures, understanding different cultures. So I just felt that I want to give this opportunity back to other children who didn't have that financial opportunity to be able to travel. So it's always been important to me that children are able to experience more than just their neighborhood or where they grew up from. Sometimes they feel like this is all they can achieve, this is all they know. But if they are able to travel outside and explore another world, explore the culture, explore people other than what they see on a day-to-day basis, then they might want to do more in the world and might empower them to become future leaders. So that's really what my mission came from. And it's in memory of my brother, who I lost in 2017 due to pancreatic cancer. And he was just my mentor and my inspiration to work hard and be the best. So it was really close to my heart. I was trying to figure out the name of this and what I wanted to do. Why not contribute it to my brother, Stephen?
Wow, wow, that's very powerful. I'm sorry to hear about the loss of your brother. That's it's good to know that something positive is coming out of that,
Yeah.
though. So that's very nice. When you work with the youth, do they help you choose where they want to go, or is it more comes from you and your direction? What does that look like?
That's a great question. We're just starting, so our first trip will be mimicking my first trip overseas. So that was Spain and Portugal. But from there, once we have a good group of kids, what I want them to do is create presentations and present to us and let us know where they want to travel and where they want to go next. So because I think it's important for them to voice their opinion and where they want to go as well.
When it comes to I'll say an application process, it sounds like that's kind of like what it is.
Yes.
What does that look like as far as timeline goes?
So usually it's over 3 months. So in the fall, we'll be taking applications, and then summer is when we would be having the trip, and spring we'd be announcing the winners. So
And how many people do you anticipate would be able to go on this?
our goal is 10 students and 3 chaperones.
That's fantastic. Okay. Now, in preparing for all this, you said this nonprofit is relatively new. What's your typical day like? I know you said you have a lot of titles, this huge hat you're wearing. What does your day typically look like, or even a week typically look like for you?
So I do work full time. This is not my full-time job. This is really my passion project. So a lot of it is me coming home at night and committing at least 1 to 2 hours, responding to emails, reaching out to networks. I am a part of some networking groups that focus on nonprofits. So going to networking events, connecting with those people in the evenings, and then on the weekends, I do work on the weekends, but it's important to me. So I'm really usually pretty busy.
Talk to me about the process of creating the nonprofit. What was that like?
So that was probably what was holding me back for the longest time, just because I knew it was just going to cost some finances. And, again, this is all coming from me and all, what I was doing. So I did end up going with, LegalZoom eventually, just to make the process a lot easier. I started businesses. I know how to fill out paperwork, but the nonprofit is a little different. You can submit things to the state, but after that, filing for your tax exempt for 501(c), and then making sure that everything is filled out correctly, so that way it doesn't get returned and then you don't get delayed. So I was just like, I'll just put this in the hands of people who've done this previously, because I wanted to really streamline this process and get it up and going.
That sounds great. And that's what Stevens Wings is. It's a 503c.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. What was the timeline for that? From you said you started on LegalZoom until you were, approved essentially. What did that look like? How long of a time frame?
So getting with the states is pretty simple. Everything I did was expedited. So it took about 2 weeks just to get the company, the nonprofit formed, and then it's usually about 90 days to go through the tax exempt process. So that's again, once you get your company set up for the nonprofit, then you have to apply again with the state and letting them know that you're applying for a tax exempt. So that's a whole nother process.
So you said that you started other businesses in the past. How
Mhm.
has that experience or those experiences, how has that helped you in your current endeavor?
It's funny because a nonprofit is so much different than a regular business. When you talk about salaries and accounting and all that stuff, you need to make sure that the records are very clean when it comes to nonprofit, especially when you're tax exempt, because a lot of things you can't can't do or you can write off. So it's very important to know the differences between having a regular business and having a nonprofit that's tax exempt. So I did do a lot of studying with that. I also hired a nonprofit consultant. Well, I didn't really hire. We're doing quid pro quo. I'm helping her with create her website and adjust her website, and then she's giving me free consulting. But I actually just met her via LinkedIn and just reaching out to people in the industry. I think just understanding corporate structure has helped me with the business side of things because I know how to set up a business. I know how to get a website up and running. I know how to promote it. I know how to get the marketing up and going just because I've done that repeatedly over and over again over the last 15 years plus years. So that part came easily. It's just learning the nonprofit side of the business, the fundraising, donors. I have a CRM just because I know that's important to do, and following up with people. But that comes from doing this for such a long time. It's just again now transitioning that to fundraising.
And what does fundraising look like for you right now?
So the main goal is to grow the database of contacts. So that's why I'm going out and networking to people. I'm creating those networks because I want to build that database so that way I'm touching people, reaching out to people, letting them know our progress, where we are, what we're doing, and then reaching out to them for fundraising goals. We're doing it on social media. I have an event on March 21st. That'll probably be after this is aired. But we're doing a silent auction and where we're raising funds to give out passport scholarships by the end of the year. So we do have different buckets with Stephen's Wing. So we have the passport scholarships, and then we have the Global Explorer program, which is the trips.
You also talked about using a CRM. What are you currently using for that?
That's an interesting question because I'm still trying to hone down on what's the best one. Right now, I do have my website with Squarespace, so that does integrate with a lot of different websites, which is perfect. So they do have their own online marketing system, but it doesn't really track like my donors and where they're coming from. And then actually, anytime anybody donates, I'd like to put them onto a campaign and reach out to them as well. I was looking for something that integrated between the website and also the donors that are donating. So Give Butter, I don't know if you've heard of that before, seems to be the best system for the touch points and reaching out to the candidates, sending out direct letters, and giving templates, actually helping with the auction side of things. So that's been really great for me, just kind of helping me out with that process. And they also a lot of resources for nonprofits. So just reading their blog and their updates on helps out a lot.
When it comes to other professionals, have you found human resource type organizations that cater to helping with nonprofits or attorneys that specialize in nonprofits that you kind of have on, I don't want to say on retainer, but are kind of like in your back pocket, you're exploring? Have you gone down that road yet, or is it a little too early for that for you?
So I have reached out for like insurance is in the back burner because I will need that for when the kids travel overseas. It's like things you don't think about, right? So I do have a back pocket of contacts that I've met during via networking and just via people that I've talked to. Say, hey, why don't you reach out to this person?
Well, one of the things I like to do when I'm talking to people is try to identify some potential hurdles that other people might have to overcome, or the barriers to entry that they might have to knock down. So this is good information that you're sharing. When it comes to your education, how has that factored into your ability to create this nonprofit? Has that not been as necessary because you studied something that was completely different, or what does the education background look like for you?
So my background is psychology and speech communications, so nothing really to do with nonprofits or businesses and setup like that. But my real life experience is what has probably helped me in the realm of nonprofit. Obviously, I still say psychology is still understanding people. So no matter what I do, um, that presence, whether you're marketing yourself online, is understanding your brand, understanding who you're reaching out to. That's a part of psychology, and just understanding people in general. So I always say, psychology is sales. Anything that I do with the nonprofit is creating the story, telling the story, and that's part of sales.
When it comes to starting the nonprofit or any nonprofit, what's a major not a major setback, but something that you didn't anticipate that just kind of caught you off guard in moving forward with this?
I think probably the tax exempt process, just because it takes so long for that to get approved by the state. And then a lot of times when you're applying for grants or you're trying to get fundraising, you're waiting for that to actually be approved before you can even like announce things or do things. So, that was kind of a hurdle for me, just going through that process and making sure we were clear to go through that process. So I think that's important to understand how long that takes and what that process looks like, because that can delay you when you're trying to fundraise, and if that's what you're going for the 501(c).
When it comes to building relationships with people for the organization here, I had another person I was speaking with a couple of weeks ago and was saying that social media isn't as powerful as it once was because it's so saturated that having those personal connections is still key. Do you find that rings true with you, that having those personal connections could arguably even be more important than working on social, or is having the wider reach with social media more important or as important? What's your take on that?
So I agree. My background is in real estate, and I always say the personal connection is going to, be more impactful than just putting a whole bunch of marketing out. It's a difference between marketing and prospecting. That's why I'm going to the networking events, and I feel like even LinkedIn is more powerful than like Facebook or Instagram for nonprofits, at least, because I can create a connection and I can contact that person one-on-one. And that's what I try to do on the social media instead of, I still market, obviously, but it's tagging someone or reaching out to them or sending a message that's going to create that connection versus just the marketing. The marketing is the brand. That has to be out there because in order for people to see or know what we do, that's there. But fundraising and building that connection, that's one-to-one, what we call belly to belly.
I've never heard that one before. Um, so in a previous life, I was a web developer. And the thing that's interesting with the web is that it was born in open source. It's built in this open community where people share everything. So, you might be working for a particular company and there might be another developer working for another company and you're competitors, but in the web world, it's like you're brothers kind of, and you will share how to overcome different code obstacles and something like that. So in the nonprofit world, are you finding that same level of kinship with other nonprofits, or is that hasn't really haven't had an opportunity to say one way or the other with that?
No, I mean, actually, I'm in a fun Facebook group that's just all nonprofits. So, you connect, that's how you learn things. People say, I'm having this challenge. This has been helpful. That's actually how I got some of my resources in my pages. So no, I think there is a network there, and everybody wants to help each other in nonprofit. I mean, that's how I got, my free consultant, because I just reached out and asked for help, just asking questions, and then they just offer their own advice. So I think there is a network there.
That's awesome. I never would have imagined that, even though it makes complete sense. I just never wouldn't have imagined. I wouldn't have imagined that something like that existed. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Erica, at this point, I usually like to ask a very random question. Usually, that's nothing to do with the person's job. So, I do have a random question for you today, and that goes something like this. We all get stressed out at times, no doubt about it. Sometimes stress comes from things you expect, like family or your job. Sometimes stress comes from things we enjoy, maybe a particular puzzle or playing a musical passage or something like that. We all have ways of overcoming our stresses and bringing us back down and calming us down. What would that be for you?
Um, um, I think my job is very stressful, and then I have doing this at night actually relaxes me. So there's two things that I enjoy doing. Cleaning, funny enough, which does relaxes me. So when I'm very stressed, I'll just clean. So if you see me like scrubbing down the walls, it's because I'm stressed. And you know, I actually love creating websites. So when the consultant asked me, hey, you know, is there something I can trade you with? And I was like, sure, I'd love to do it. Even though I have a million things to do, doing that, I can zone out for like 8 hours and not focus on anything else but that, and I'll be fine. So cleaning and creating websites.
I love that. I've actually met a handful of people, they do the stress cleaning, so I can understand that. And Erica, last thing, at this point too, I'd like to give the person I'm speaking with the opportunity for like a minute or two to share a personal project they're working on, a cause. We've already spoken about Stephen's Wings, but if you want to elaborate more on that, you're more than welcome to. But the floor is yours if there's something you would like to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Stephen's Wings, like we're just a little baby. We're just getting started. So I really want to be able to impact students and youth and get them to travel. So the big thing is the passport scholarship. So, you know, if you want to sponsor a youth or you want to volunteer or help us out, feel free to reach out to me. You know, we want to get in-kind sponsorships. So working with travel agencies or airlines or someone you know that might be in those industries, connect me with, because we really want to be able to give travel to the youth, not only in just my local area, but I do want this to be nationwide as well. So
That sounds fantastic. And I'll make sure I get all the appropriate links from you. They'll be in the description of the show so we can easily share and get people over to you if they want to connect to you, when they want to connect with you. Erica, thank you so much for joining me today on Time We Discuss.
thank you.
Thanks for popping in the studio. My name is Dan, and this is Time We Discuss. I really enjoyed speaking with Erica today. I hope you enjoyed the time too. Follow links in the description to learn more about Stephen's Wings. If there's a profession that you want me to cover, add a comment and I'll find that person for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That'll do it. See you next time on Time We Discuss.